All the experts are agreed that in each of us, there are deep reservoirs of ability, even genius, that we habitually fail to use. Why? We know that most people desire by nature to succeed. But what is success? What is this word that has become so famous in the world? What does it mean? Most people don't know what success is all about. And since they don't know what it's about, they really don't know where to look for it. Success is really nothing more than the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. This means that any person who knows what he's doing and where he's going is a success. Any person with a goal toward which he's working is a successful person. The problem with most people is that they're playing the world's most unrewarding game. And the name of the game is follow the follower, a goal. A man without a goal is like a ship without a rudder. He doesn't know where he's going. He then belongs to that 95% that is just living day by day, month after month, like a starfish or an amoeba. He needs to know where he's going. Back in the early days of navigation, sailors used to see a strange sight in the Antarctic. They'd see a giant iceberg towering high out of the sea, and it would be moving against the wind. The wind would be blowing this way. The great iceberg would be moving right into the teeth of the wind. And this, of course, frightened the sailors whose ships were powered by the wind, until it was discovered that, of course, only a fraction of the great berg was visible, and that its huge, ponderous roots were caught in the great currents of the ocean. And it was being borne purposely along its way, regardless of the winds and the tides on the surface. Well, this is what a man needs. He needs his roots deep in a great main stream of his own choosing, and then he'll move along his way, regardless of the winds on the surface of his life or short-term expediency, and he'll get to where he's going.
I think you got to stop waiting for someone to come along and root for you. You've got to do that for yourself. And if you get lucky, you'll find a few people who really believe in you. But if your plan relies on luck to succeed, it's not a plan, it's a bet. And if you're gonna bet, then you might as well bet on you, not them.
You would rather find purpose than a job or a career. Purpose crosses disciplines. Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. Whatever you choose for a career path, remember the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose.
It says adopt the mindset. I'm not stuck, I'm being shaped. You are not stuck, you are being shaped, right? So often we go through seasons and we feel stuck. We feel like we're not moving, we feel like we're not growing. No, remember, every season is serving a greater purpose. In those seasons where you may feel stuck, understand, no, you're just being shaped. You're being shaped in order to step into the new season that is for you. But in order to get there, you have to be shaped in the right way. So what may feel like being stuck in the moment is really you just being shaped for alignment and authenticity so that you can step into that next season, right? But embrace those seasons where you gotta be shaped. Embrace those seasons where you have to be pulled and pushed in order to be moved internally so that you can step into what is for you externally. Embrace those seasons because they're serving a purpose and they are so incredibly vital. Those are really the seasons that develop your character, develop your resilience, develop your strength, develop you internally into the person that can step into the things that are for you.
Becoming closer to your vision, becoming the person that you strive to be, does not demand perfection, but rather the persistent and pure desire for better and for good. It's easy for us to get hyper-fixated on not making a mistake or not making a wrong turn. And we start to overanalyze and paralyze ourselves with fear or doubt. It makes us hesitant in the way we pursue action. And hesitancy is not good. You know, these mistakes, these failures, these wrong turns ultimately do not matter. The only thing that is demanded of you in order to make the changes that you want to make is the pure and persistent desire to be better and to be good. And this, paired with time, anything can be.
If you can get a mental image of the person you would most like to become, begin now to act as that person would act in everything you do. Gradually, imperceptibly, you will actually become that person. It goes back to what the great German poet and philosopher Goethe once said. Before you can do something, you must first be something. Before you can do what you would most like to do, you must first become the person who can do it. A woman cooking dinner has only to act like a great chef to turn out a better meal. The student who begins to act like a top student will begin to get better grades. You can even look much better by simply acting like the person you would most like to look like and be like. The secret is to get and hold fast in your mind the mental image of the person you would most like to be. Then in every situation you act and talk as you feel that person would. You make the kind of decisions you think that person would. This is the way to constantly grow into a better, more effective person.
Yes, I know you're tired. I know you're tired of making and breaking promises with yourself over and over and over. It's a cycle. You make a promise, you break the promise. You make the promise, you break the promise. In this new year, you're making so many promises. But in the back of your mind, in the back of your heart, in the depths of your heart, you're like, I'm going to break this promise. It's time to not do that. It's called discipline. It's called set the plate and run it. Set it and run it. It has nothing to do with how you feel. You set the play, feelings aside, run the play.
There's a quote by Carl Jung that says, "In all chaos, there is a cosmos. And in all disorder, there is a secret order." Us as humans are experiencing this chaos and this disorder on a daily basis at a very personal level, not only externally, but internally. And what this quote is saying is that maybe it's for a reason. And I think it's very hard for us to grasp that all this pain and all this disorder and all this unknown could potentially, maybe, be for a reason, be a part of a harmony that we can't hear. And when you really get to the root of it, you're left with a choice. Do I want to live a hopeless life, or do I want to live a hope-filled life? And I choose to believe the latter. I choose faith. I choose hope. I choose to look chaos and disorder in the eye and say, you know what? Maybe you're doing me a favor. Maybe you're just a lesson that I really need to learn and grasp to take my next step forward. Things aren't falling apart. They're falling into place.
There are many ways to get the things that we want for ourselves in our lives. But basically, it all begins with how we choose to think. As you think, so shall you be. 7 little words that I think are perhaps the most important things that we can learn and master in our lives. This old proverb notion that I become what I think about all day long. And once you know that what you think about is what expands, you start getting real careful about what you think about. You don't allow your thoughts to be on anything that you don't want, or that you wouldn't want to have manifest or show up for you in your life.
It's the only life we've got. And remember to think. Imagination is everything, and we can become what we can imagine. If you find yourself getting depressed and down at the mouth, as we all get once in a while, you might want to remember this quotation by Dean Briggs. He said, "Do your work. Not just your work and no more, but a little more for the lavishing's sake. That little more which is worth all the rest. And if you suffer as you must, and if you doubt as you must, do your work. Put your heart into it, and the sky will clear. And then out of your very doubt and suffering will be born the supreme joy of life." Believe it or not, in an age when we've come to nearly deify leisure time, we've almost lost sight of the fact that virtually all our satisfactions, rewards will come not from our leisure, but from our work. And don't forget the strangest secret. We become what we think about.
I feel like too often we allow our present moment to be defined by the past in terms of everything that happens. I think in a lot of ways, if we don't change the way we think about our current circumstance or don't change the way we think about our lives, then it's not going to change. We keep on repeating the same thoughts and the same experiences via our thoughts. And in that way, we're experiencing the same reality. I feel like regardless of how new each day is and regardless of how new every circumstance is, in terms of life continuing to move forward, as long as our mind remains stagnant in some type of previous state, nothing is actually going to change. And that's why I feel like it's important to instill some type of belief in yourself when it comes to your future. If you believe that you can, why haven't you tried? And if you don't believe in yourself, then there's no point in trying at all. I think it's important to sort of instill some type of action based on the faith that we have in ourselves. Like if you truly think you can do something, then it's your responsibility to go out and do it. And I feel like even if you don't, it's your responsibility to truly figure out. I feel like a lot of us try to answer our own questions without actually going out there and finding a solution.
You can't go to the future holding on to the biology of your past. Decide what thoughts you can bring to your future. Write them down. Thoughts like, I can't, it's too hard, I'll never change, I'll start tomorrow, what's wrong with me, it's someone else's fault. Decide on what behaviors or actions or unconscious habits you have to change. How do you talk? Do you complain? Do you blame? Do you make excuses? Do you feel sorry for yourself? Just become so conscious of those behaviors that you'll never go unconscious again. And lastly, you have to decide what emotions no longer belong in your future. That means if you want to be wealthy, you can't take lack. If you want to be healthy, you can't take insecurity or fear. You got to begin to condition your body to a new mind. If you do this every single day, your personality creates your personal reality. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. Change any one of those things and you change your life.
But what if it truly works out better than you ever imagined? Think about it for a second. How many of the wonderful things that have happened to you in your life were perfectly planned? How many did you see coming? How many happened in accordance to your timeline? Showed up when you most expected it? Some of them? Any of them? Probably not the majority of them. So with that being said, I know that you've tried 1,000 times before, but what if this next go opens the door that you've been waiting for? Or better yet, what if this next go opens the door that's better than you ever expected? Remember, it's your responsibility to keep moving, keep learning, keep trying, keep trusting in the process, and it may just be better than you ever imagined.
Real confidence slowly takes the place of the part you've been playing. Now, your life will not be transformed overnight. There'll be no sudden miracles, perhaps, but steadily, day by day, you'll grow into the image you hold in your mind. If you doubt this, try it for 30 days and watch what happens. You've got nothing to lose. The time is going to pass anyway. Why not put it to work, becoming the person you most want to become? It's the trick of the experts in every field.
You need to understand that for 90% of the journey, you will not see the port. But you can trust that if you do the right actions, you'll eventually get there. And it's the same thing with life. You must understand that most of the time you won't see the fruit of your labor for an extended period of time. But then, once you hit the 99%, you begin to see the port of destination, the port of arrival. And then you catch the second wind to maximize on the momentum. For 99% of the journey, where most of you guys are at right now, you will not see the port of destination, but you must trust it.
But what if things work out and everything turns out better than you imagined? What if things change? Life has a funny way of unfolding sometimes. So don't give up. Wake up every single day knowing that you're one step away from success. Anything is possible if you're willing to work for it. Just stick with it a little longer. What do you have to lose?
Study yourself, make yourself better. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Learn from them. Don't change who you are to become somebody else. Think about the time that you spend in your life trying to be somebody you're not. If you put that time and effort and energy into being who you were and who you are, how much farther along would you be in life?
6 months. You got 6 months left in the year. Why don't you take those 6 months and donate that time to your future self? Why don't you commit to something that you're going to thank yourself for doing 6 months from today? Because when January 1st rolls around, you can either be 6 months closer to your goals, or you can be exactly where you are right now, if not a little further away. You can either get to January 1st and be so pissed off about what you did the previous 6 months that you feel like you have to change your whole personality with a whole list of resolutions, or you can get to January 1st and have things be going so well that you feel like you don't have to change anything at all.
Consistency compounds. When consistency compounds, you get a good life. Many times people want to rush, they want to accelerate the journey, but they don't understand that the journey is lifelong. There is no end goal, there is no end destination. You are in this journey from the moment you were born until you die. So today is just another brick that you're laying to build your ideal house.
What's that deep-rooted reason? So when fear shows up, when failure shows up, when haters show up, when the numbers ain't going right show up, what's gonna keep you committed? What's gonna keep you consistent? You've been consistent in a lot of stuff in life. Are you trying to say that you can't be consistent at something that you love? You can't be consistent at your dreams? You can't be consistent at something that means the world to you? You've been consistent at the wrong things. You've been consistent at pleasing people. You've been consistent at working for somebody else. And you're telling me you can't bring that same energy to what you called to do? Come on.
I'm gonna tell you this, bro. There is no getting out of the work. There's no shortcuts, there is no easy route, and there is no quick fix to becoming the greatest version of yourself. The longer that you avoid the hard work, the more comfortable you get in life. Is stay comfortable in the depression, stay comfortable in the situation that you're in right now. Because when you're comfortable, you lose motivation, you lose focus, you lose sight of your goals, you lose sight of where you want to be at in life.
You have the ability to make those changes. There is no difference between you and successful people. The difference is what they do. Your life is created by what you do, your daily habits. Your daily habits determine what your life is going to look like. Who you surround yourself with determines what your life is going to look like.
If tomorrow wasn't promised, what would you give for today? Forget everything else. Forget everything else. Forget that there was any sunlight left. What would you spend today thinking about? We get one opportunity in life, one chance in life to do whatever you're gonna do, to lay your foundation, to make whatever mark you're gonna make, whatever legacy you're gonna leave your legacy. And it's found through effort. Wins and losses come a dime a dozen. But effort, nobody can judge effort. Because effort is between you and you. Effort ain't got nothing to do with nobody else.
Pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Go for the discipline because it weighs ounces. The regret weighs tons.
95% of our decisions are made by how you feel in the moment. And that is the problem. Do you feel like making that cold call? No, you don't. Do you feel like doing that third set of reps? No, you don't. And if you accept the fact that you may never feel ready, and you may never feel motivated, and you may never feel courageous, and that's okay, but you can still push yourself forward. As you start to see yourself becoming the person that takes action, guess what happens? You build the skill of confidence and courage.
You think that everything the mind tells you, I need to follow. That means freedom. No, for us, it's the other way around. To learn and not follow what the mind tells you. This is the first step towards freedom.
You have to constantly rewrite your book every day of your life. These are conversations I have with myself, and I say it everywhere I go. The most important conversation when you have with yourself. You live with it every single day, but most of our conversations are not the right ones. They're not the ones that are going to push us to the place we need to go. They're the ones that are going to keep us sitting in that toxic environment that you've helped create and everybody else helped create, and you just live in it. And that conversation just plays in your head, and that becomes you.
Working on yourself, talking to yourself, that's so very important.
Overcoming the negative conversation, that inner dialogue that's going on all the time, even when you don't want it to be there. You can't stop yourself right now from thinking. You can't do it. It's going on. And so learning how to empower yourself, part of doing that is standing up to yourself. You'll get scared sometimes. Your mind will go blank on you. Some people you will allow to unnerve you. And you wonder, what's wrong with me? I'm not crazy. That's why you've got to learn to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to stand up inside yourself. Working on yourself, watching that inner dialogue, it will determine the quality of your life.
People won't want to hear this, but what you avoid controls you. If you avoid tough conversations, your relationships suffer. If you avoid risk, your business will suffer. If you avoid failure, your growth will suffer. If you think having uncomfortable conversations is hard, wait until you see the result of not having uncomfortable conversations. Much harder. At least for me, I just try and face the thing that I'm avoiding and constantly ask myself, like, what is that thing that I'm trying not to look at? And then force myself to stare at it, because usually the thing that scares you the most is the thing that you need most to face to move forward.
People always talk about vision, seeing your vision, seeing somebody else's vision, other people seeing your vision. Let me tell you something. Before you could see your vision, before anybody else could see your vision, the first thing they have to do is deal with what's visiting them in their nightmares. That you have to deal with before you or anybody else could see your vision.
He said the ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members praying with them as they cross over. He said, but imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities, the talents given to you by life, and that you, for whatever reason, you never went after that dream. You never acted on those ideas. You never used those talents. You never used those gifts. And there they are standing around your bed looking at you with large angry eyes saying, we came to you and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever. And the question is, if you died today, what dreams, what ideas, what talents, what books, what music, what leadership, what voice will die with you? Said the wealthiest place on the planet, it's not in the Far East where there's oil in the ground. It's not in South Africa where there are diamond mines. He said the wealthiest place on the planet is the cemetery. Because there you'll find greatness that we've never seen. There you'll find talent and genius and potential never actualized. Maybe that's why some unknown writer wrote the words, what if you live your whole life only to discover that it was wrong? That it was wrong. That you were chosen to do something else and you didn't do it.
You want to know the secret to achieving everything that you dream about? Don't quit. See, when you know what the destination is, there's a million paths to get there. And it took me a long time to learn that the greatest moments of growth and success happen right after you feel like quitting, but you don't. That's the secret. Keep going.
If you're trying to do something exceptional, if you're trying to do something that's difficult, you don't get the luxury of kind of wanting to do it. If you kind of want to do it, you're going to lose, because you're not just competing against people who kind of want it. You're not competing against people who want it bad, but you're competing against people who need to do it. You're competing against people who have their back against the wall, who have no other choice but to succeed. That's your competition. And so if you're sitting around here saying, oh, well, you know, I want to do it, but like I have this to do and that to do, it's over. You're not going to win. The guy that has his back to the wall is going to destroy you.
There comes a time where people need to see a beast. You've been passive, you've been kind, you've been gentle, but there's a time for the beast inside to come out. I'm talking about the one that's not in the zoo, that's been captive and lost its skill set and instinct. I'm talking about the wild, instinctual you that has been wrapped up in the idea of what can be, but been held back because of what others have told you it's not time yet. But don't be like those who had dreams at 25 but died to those dreams and were buried at 75, wondering what could have been. You see, if you become the beast that is, if you unlock everything that is within you, imagine what could happen. The very thing that you've dreamed of can become a reality. The very reality of you becoming unstoppable. The doors that you will shove open that others can step in. Because the room that you make, your roar will open up doors, and those who follow your lead will become a part of your tribe. And that tribe is why you'll have pride. But it's up to you. Either unlock the beast or be a captive to what could have been. The choice is yours.
Losing strips away your ego. It forces you to face the parts of yourself that need work and the truths you've been unwilling to accept. But losing isn't the end of your story. It's where the real work begins. The chance to analyze the cracks in your foundation and build something stronger. Growth happens when you fall flat, feel exposed, and have to decide whether you'll rise again. The lesson is in the loss. The win is in the comeback. If you want to go big, you can't run from failure, because it's the ticket to every breakthrough you've been chasing.
If you're seeing this, that means you're not dead. And if you're not dead, that means you woke up today. And if you woke up today, that means you were handed a goddamn gift. Because others weren't lucky enough to get that gift. And some took their last breath last night. So today, you're not wasting the day. You're making it count. Because you know you're not getting it back. So you're not taking it for granted. Today, you're doing something today that makes you happy. You've put it off long enough. Stop being scared what others think about you. You're not in high school anymore, so act like it and grow up. Their opinions, they don't matter. It's your life, not theirs. Today is your day, so make the day count. Do something today that makes you happy. Because you may not be lucky enough to get the gift of tomorrow.
So the question you have to ask yourself is, who am I? Where am I going? What do I want to accomplish? 3 major areas of goals that you have to think about. The first is your personal and your family goals. These are the reasons why you're alive. What do you want to accomplish for yourself and for your family? Write them down, define them clearly. The second set of goals that you have to ask is your business, your career, your financial, your material goals. What is it that you want to accomplish in the external world? Where do you want to make your contribution? The third type of goals you have to ask about are your self-development goals. And in my estimation, your ability and your willingness and your tenaciousness in developing yourself is the key to accomplishing everything else.
You know that dream in you that seems out of touch and crazy? Yeah, that one. What if that dream was actually put in you for a reason? Do not buy into the fear that everyone around you calls logic. The dreams that truly make a difference are rarely logical. Be fearless in the pursuit that sets your soul on fire.
The proper comparison group for you is you yesterday. First of all, you're the only control group that's appropriate to you, because you have a certain set of talents and possibilities and limitations and tragedies that are truly unique to you.
Shouldn't it just happen? Well, it doesn't. Basically, life is this way. What you put into it is what you get out of it.
People want their life to be free of struggle and conflict. They want a smooth path in front of them. When you face adversity or things aren't going quite well, you have to reassess who you are. You have to reassess your opinions. You have to say, maybe I'm not doing this the right way. Maybe my patterns of responding in the past aren't working out. Maybe there's something wrong with me. How can I learn from this moment? How can I get past this particular obstacle? If you never have failure, if you never have conflict, you are never going to develop yourself in life.
Even though you are scared, can you still go through with the task? Even though it's risky and you don't know what's on the other side, can you still stay focused, stay locked in, keep working, and keep pushing forward? That's the person that people want to follow.
You know what's the number one way you measure somebody that's hungry? Very simple. Their sense of urgency. That's simple. Let me explain to you why. So people say, "Wow, you have no idea how hungry I am." Really? Yeah. What'd you do about it today? Oh, not today, but tomorrow I'm gonna. You ain't hungry, man. You just think you're hungry. You are not hungry.
Think like the person you intend to become. Ask yourself, how would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do?
Everybody in here wants to get to the next level. And very simple. You can make two lists, and I can tell you if you're going to get to the next level or not. Make a list of what you want to do to get to the next level. And on the other side of the list, what are you willing to do to get to the next level? And if that list doesn't match, you are so far away from winning, you have no chance.
You do not have time to fuck around. You don't have time to play games, to be in everybody's face, to not be focused on your goals. Every single day counts. You didn't do nothing yesterday, and you didn't do nothing today. Every single day that you don't do nothing, bro, is a day wasted. It's a day that you could have got better.
You've developed a false belief system in yourself of what you need to know to take action. And so successful people are willing to step into the unknown and the unprepared more than people who are unsuccessful. So procrastination is really saying, I got to know a little more, I got to prepare a little bit more, I got to get a little bit more ready, a little bit more ready, a little bit more ready. And you keep raising the readiness quota to a point where you never take action. And so you got to get to this point where you're like, I'm going to get into the room, I'm going to start to write that paper, I'm going to start the book, I'm going to get into that, and I'll figure it out when I get there. And most people that are successful have this internal belief system that I don't need to know everything to take action. I just need to know enough to get in the room, and I'll figure it out from there.
No one has ever achieved anything if they haven't faced failures, if they haven't had disappointments. To achieve anything in life, you have to be prepared to take on the odds, face disappointment. You only lose when you give up. If you do not give up, you will win from the most incredible positions. The fight is in the mind. It's not physical, it's in the mind.
What are the things that you fear that's been keeping you from living your dream? That's been keeping you from doing some things that you would like to do? Just think about those things.
We're taught to believe that control is the key to a good life. That if you can just plan everything perfectly, prepare for every outcome, and hold on tightly enough, you can avoid the chaos, the pain, the uncertainty. Control feels safe. It feels powerful. It feels like the only way to keep your world from falling apart. But here's the paradox. The tighter you hold on, the less control you actually have. The more you try to force life to fit into your expectations, the more it slips through your fingers. Because life isn't meant to be controlled, it's meant to be lived. And sometimes, the only way to truly gain control is to let go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean apathy or passivity. It means surrendering to the flow of life, trusting the process, and understanding that you don't have to micromanage every detail to create something beautiful.
Control feels comforting, doesn't it? Like if you can just hold onto the reins tightly enough, nothing bad will happen. But the truth is, control is an illusion. You can't control the weather, the economy, other people, or the random twists and turns of life. What you can control is how you respond, your attitude, your effort, your choices. That's where your power lies, not in trying to control everything around you, but in mastering what's within you. When you stop chasing the illusion of control, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to predict the unpredictable. You stop wasting energy on things you can't change and start focusing on the things you can.
So much of our desire for control comes from fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of things going wrong. We play the what-if game in our minds. What if I fail? What if they leave? What if it all falls apart? But here's the thing. Worrying about the what-ifs doesn't change the outcome. It doesn't prepare you for the future. It just robs you of the present. Letting go means acknowledging that the future is uncertain, and that's okay. Because no matter what happens, you have the strength to face it. Trust yourself enough to know that you can handle whatever comes your way. Let go of the need to have all the answers and focus on what's in front of you right now.
Think of life like a river. You can fight the current, exhausting yourself as you try to swim upstream, or you can surrender to the flow. Surrender doesn't mean you're powerless. It means you're choosing to work with the current instead of against it. When you surrender, you open yourself up to possibilities you might not have seen before. You allow life to surprise you, to show you paths you never would have chosen on your own. And in that surrender, you find freedom. Some of the most incredible moments in life happen not because you forced them, but because you allowed them. You let go of your expectations, your plans, your need to control, and made space for something greater to unfold.
Letting go isn't weakness, it's strength. It takes courage to release your grip, to step into the unknown, to trust that even if you don't have control, you still have power. Power to adapt, power to learn, power to rise, no matter what life throws at you. When you let go, you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and start focusing on what truly matters. You become more resilient, more flexible, more capable of navigating life's challenges.
Identify what you can't control. Take a moment to think about the things you're trying to control right now. How many of them are actually within your power? Let go of the things that aren't. Release the weight of trying to fix what isn't yours to fix. Focus on your response. You can't control the storm, but you can control how you weather it. Shift your focus from what's happening around you to how you're showing up in the midst of it. Trust the process. Trust that life has a way of working out, even when it doesn't go according to your plan. Some of your greatest growth will come from the moments when you had to let go of what you thought should happen and embrace what actually did. Practice presence. Control often comes from living in the future, worrying about what might happen. Letting go means bringing your focus back to the present. What can you do right now? What beauty can you find in this moment? Find freedom in surrender. When you stop fighting against life, you find peace. You stop wasting energy on things you can't change and start using that energy to grow, to create, to live.
When you let go, you don't lose control. You gain clarity. You gain the ability to see life for what it is, not for what you want it to be. You gain the freedom to adapt, to grow, to move forward without being weighed down by the need to micromanage every detail. Letting go doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you stop clinging. You stop forcing. You stop living in fear of what might happen and start living in gratitude for what is. The paradox of control is this: the more you let go, the more power you gain. Not power over life, but power within yourself, to thrive no matter what life brings. So loosen your grip, surrender to the flow, and trust that even in the uncertainty, even in the chaos, you are exactly where you're meant to be. Let go and watch your life expand.
You must become a vigilant gatekeeper of everything you allow to go into your mind. Anything that gets into your mind is entering holy ground. When you recognize who you really are and why you've been put on this earth, you'll start to understand why the enemy works so hard to stop you, why the negative thoughts and the self-doubt seem to come at you like bullets out of nowhere. You were not put on this earth to be average. You weren't put here to sit the sidelines. You were not put here to fail. You were given gifts and talents and skills so that you could go out and make a difference. You were put here for a reason and a purpose. You were put here to be great.
We all have ambitions, we all have dreams and goals and desires that we want, but really what gets you to where you want are habits, our daily habits. There are negative habits that you can't get rid of, but there are other habits that, like discipline, like working every day, like taking steps to reach your goals, that are immensely liberating. And you can get rid of your bad habits through developing positive habits, right? So the goal here is to focus less on the giant dreams and on the everyday process of changing your thinking.
It's not really about what you want, it's about what you're willing to do to get it. And in that, maybe you have to give something up that may not be a good habit to replace it with a better habit. Everybody got to make that decision. So it's not just about what you want, it's about what are you willing to do to get it. That's what it all comes down to, guys.
I feel to be at the pinnacle of any game. In any, whatever you do, you've got to be a little bit gone to it. You're not all there. You've got to be almost insane to your craft. Not a lot of people can understand that.
People think being consistent means never falling off track, but that's not true. That's called perfection. And for most, that's just not realistic. Consistency means staying on track most of the time. And when you fall off, whether it was intentional or not, you pick yourself up and you get right back on. Consistency is about being persistent, not perfect.
It can do. All it takes is determination. You'll get your chance. Sometimes it doesn't come as quick as you'd like, and there's a lot of hurdles, but you will get there. You have to believe in that.
For kids to bet on themselves. Take some chances, get your knowledge, know what you're doing, and then go 2 feet in and then bet on yourself. If you go to somebody, you ask somebody and they shoot you down, don't let that be the answer. If you have a passion for something and it's burning, it's your job to curate that passion. I really believe that. And you don't take no's for answers.
You've never looked at yourself in the mirror and said, you let you die. Until you get to that point, you let you die. You're not brave enough. You want to put it on somebody else. I have standards. I have values. I chose to do that. But you need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, why are you only giving 50%? What's wrong with you?
Nothing in life is promised except death. If you had the opportunity to play this game of life, you need to appreciate every moment. A lot of people don't appreciate their moment until it's past.
Seneca said there is no greatness without stillness in it, and I think that's right.
What kind of success do you have if you miss every sunrise and sunset, if you're always busy, if you never have time with your family, but also if you never have time with yourself? And so if you don't have moments of stillness in your life, I would ask you what kind of life you're living. And if the kind of life you're living is really your best life.
If you do not have clear goals for your life, you are condemned forever to work for those who do. You see, in life it's very simple. Either you are working toward the accomplishment of your goals, or you're working toward the accomplishment of other people's goals.
Our actions may be impeded, but there can be no impeding our intentions or dispositions, because we can accommodate and adapt. The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The secret to an art unknown as turning obstacles upside down, to act with a reverse clause, so there's always a way out or another route to get where you need to go, so that setbacks or problems are always expected and never permanent, making certain that what impedes us can empower us.
What is a mistake? Everybody will do something which will go wrong. Making something wrong the first time is not a mistake. It is your chance to correct it. But making the same situation over and over, wrong again and wrong again because of the unwillingness to learn something from it, that is the mistake.
The hardest battle that we fight is between what we don't want to feel and what we know we must do. Following your intuition isn't always rainbows and sunshine. Sometimes it's making decisions for the greater good that really hurt. Just remember, you are choosing what's best for your soul, and that is worth it.
Anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
The goal is to die fulfilled. How do you die fulfilled? You have to die unfilled. You have to empty out all of your efforts. You have to empty out all of your knowledge, all of your giving, all of your help, everything you have into making this world a better place, bringing your vision into a reality which should impact many lives.
There's a saying, there's a quote that I really believe in, that when the pain of the current reality becomes greater than the fear of change, that's when we change. So like when the pain becomes so intense that it's greater than the fear that you have of the unknown, then you'll go into the unknown.
I had to convince myself that I'm gonna make it. What it does, it makes you feel like there's gonna be points that people are gonna mistake my confidence for arrogance. They don't understand the process I'm in.
You have to envision something that is more powerful than you. Something has to get you out of bed.
Every day is day one. Every day you're deciding what you're going to do. And you are not trapped by what you were or who you were, because you never want to get trapped by dogma. You never want to get trapped by history. Doesn't mean you discard history or ignore it, but you can't be blindly following what you've done. And that's the heart of day one, is you're always starting fresh.
Time of year when everybody's talking about what they're going to do next year.
and what they're going to become and what they're going to achieve and how they're going to change and how they're going to do all these things that they have failed at doing many previous years before this year. What makes you think that next year is going to be any different? What makes you think that when January 1st rolls around, that all of a sudden you're going to change everything about yourself and become this brand new version of yourself? Haven't you told yourself this before? How many Mondays have you told yourself that you were going to start? How many years have you made the same resolutions that you failed to keep? You have to understand that if you are to make a change in your life, you have to develop discipline.
Because to be a winner, you want to be disciplined, you want to know what you're doing, and then you want to be on the edge where your skills are being developed. And if you're going to be on the edge where your skills are going to be developed, you're at a place where losing is always a possibility, because otherwise you're not pushing yourself beyond your current capacity.
I kind of feel like every day you have a certain amount of energy. And I'm not talking calories, I'm talking like mental. A certain amount of stuff which you can put out into the world. And I think the more you have to deal with everything else on this, what do you have left if you want to do something productive, you know? How much stuff are you paying mind to? How much stuff are you putting energy into thinking about? How much effort are you putting into stuff that not only is not going to contribute to anything meaningful for yourself, but also just weighs you down?
How much faster would you achieve your goals if it was just you and your goal? Not you and your goal and Netflix and video games and social media and friends you don't like and movies and shows and all these distractions that are splitting your attention in a million different directions. You can blame your lack of accomplishment on your friends, on your family, on this, on that. But the reality is, if it was just you and your goal and no other noise, no other distractions, I guarantee you would have nothing better to do than achieve your goal. So look around at your life and identify the things that take your attention away from the person you want to be and the things you want to accomplish, and remove that shit. Because if your goals are as important to you as you say they are, why would you voluntarily make it harder to achieve?
And do what you do, right? Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Stop looking at what everybody else is doing. And stay focused on what it is that you feel God has called you to do specifically. That's your greatness. That's where your power is. People start to rush their lives based upon highlight reels on social media. I said, the part you forget, nobody showed you the failures. Nobody showed you the shortcomings. People very rarely show you the adversity and the opposition. And so do what you do, right? Approach it how you approach it. That's what God will bless you upon. It's not you doing it in a way that somebody else does it. No, he placed greatness in you. Do it how you do it, in a way that only you can do it, so God can bless it.
Stop thinking that it could be better, that you should have said it differently, that you should have done it another way. It doesn't matter. What's done is done, and the rest is just your overthinking, making it out to be more than it is.
Can't just wait for things to get perfect. You just go out and do stuff. Your motivation, key motivation. You need discipline, because motivation's not there every day. I'm missing motivation most days.
Every time I start doing things I don't want to do, I grow.
So wherever you're finding yourself, whatever level of discomfort you're finding yourself in, look, just toughen up. Just toughen up, okay? We have a world full of weaklings, and nobody needs a weakling.
Because when you do hard things, you then are fortified and reinforced for the inevitable hardship that life is. Because all of life is hardship with brief moments of bliss, my friend. And if you have created a zone of comfort in a world of hardship, you become unstoppable. You must adopt that mindset. You will not be the victim in life.
you're going to start to create something. You have no motivation, you have no drive, you have no ambition, but you're gonna force it to happen anyway because that's what bad motherfuckers do, and that's what you are. So you're going to go through day by day by day doing the work regardless of how you feel like it. And then what's gonna happen is you're gonna see a little bit of a result. And when you see that little bit of result, you're gonna get happy because now you can clearly see that if I do the work, this result will happen. So if you're in this phase where it doesn't feel like it's worth it, where it doesn't feel like it's very fun, just remember, if you keep going and you do not let your feelings dictate what your actions will be, the results will always be there.
Grit, you need it when the chips are down, and it all comes from the mind. I'm struggling here. I need to do something to get myself out of this problem. And that's where you get grit. You think, well, I'm going to do it. The mind tells me I'm going to do it. The body is weak, the body is tired, but the grit will get me through it.
You have to lose your fear of failure. Failure is a part of the process. People who never fail never try. You have to fail. You got to get it wrong to get it right. You learn nothing from winning. You only learn from your failures.
Why not? Why not see how much you can earn? Why not see how much you can learn? Why not see how many skills you can develop? Why not see what kind of person you can become? Why not see what kind of influence you can have?
At the end of every day, you look yourself in the mirror and you ask yourself, did I get better today? If the answer is yes, and you do that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, how much better are you going to be? Are you getting better every single day? That's the question. And it's just taking small steps. You don't try to get it all done in one day, in 1 week, in 1 year. It's the process of getting better every day and doing that for a period of years that then create the masterpiece.
I want to ask you a question. What are your fears? What are you scared of? Something that's blocking us, that's holding us back. Some people call fear false evidence appearing real.
Suffering is a part of life. It is something that you cannot avoid, and the more you try to avoid it, the more you prolong its impact on your life. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. That's why the conversations that you have to have with yourself have to be engaging, have to be empowering. You got to speak life over you when it feels like death is all around you. You have to speak up and not allow yourself to be put on mute, because when you suffer in silence, someone else suffers as well. Suffering teaches you how to survive. It teaches you how to thrive. It teaches you how to win, because when you come out of suffering, you come out a survivor. And what survivors have is a game plan in life of how to make it and how to sustain. And when others find the road is clear, it's because you cleared the road for them. That's the challenge of understanding that suffering doesn't last always. But you can always outlast the suffering.
You will face pain on this way. Accept the pain. Smile at the pain. Embrace the pain. Zbogam. Pain is the gatekeeper of destiny. Pain is there to ask you one simple question. Do you really want to achieve your goals, or are you just a talker?
Purpose. No one can create your purpose for you. No one can tell you who to be. So in purpose, you have to create your own purpose. And in evolution, you have to evolve towards that purpose. It's easier to live when you have goals to meet. You understand?
Identify with what you love, and once you love it, hone in on that thing until you can master it to the point where people can identify that there's no questioning your love for it.
There's no replacement for persistence, as simplistic as that is. And if you want to master something, I think that's the thing most people don't do. They read a little bit, they listen a little bit, they dip in and out. They don't go day and night, night and day in total immersion in something that transforms them, and also something that makes them push through their fears. Because in the end, that's the only thing that stops you. Everybody's got a story. I didn't know this person. I don't have the resources. They have all the things they don't have. But if you're resourceful, you can get the money, you can get the time, you can get the energy, you can get anything you want.
Times that we should proceed with caution. But it's the difference between being stopped by fear. It's the difference between having a fear and the fear having you.
The biggest regret of the dying is never becoming your ideal self. I want to leave this earth becoming who I know deep within I am supposed to be.
Sometimes you got to stop focusing and thinking about what could have happened or what should have happened, and you got to live in what is happening and focus on surviving it, because the quicker you can survive it, the quicker you can use it, the quicker you can extract a lesson from it, the quicker you can glean perspective from it. And for all of us, we're going to encounter those defining moments in our lives, right, to where it's going to hurt.
All you have to do is decide not to quit, because within every one of us is the ability and the DNA to overcome and to win. And when we win, we never know when it's going to happen, but it comes. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but the day is coming. And it's not about every dog having this day. It's the fact that you don't allow the day to dog you. You get up and you go after it, you believe and you fight through it, and no matter what it is that you're going through, the suffering will come to an end. And you will learn in the suffering that it created pressure, and when the pressure comes, it'll bust the pipe and the dams of life will come open, and that's why you end up in the flow of life that allows you to win. But you gotta believe that the suffering has a purpose. But so do you.
Never fear a storm. Learn to dance in the rain.
Do you know that your survival rate for every last one of them bad days is 100%? Your track record for surviving bad days is 100%. You survived every hater. You survived all the evictions. You survived the firings. You survived all the tell you no, we ain't hiring. You survived all the trouble you ever been in. Your survival rate is 100%.
Do not wait on the perfect conditions to go after your dream. Don't wait until there's no fear left in you, or that I feel courageous for the moment, because courage can come and it will go. It can also take numerous forms. You will never have the perfect temperature for you to go after the things that are supposed to be in your atmosphere. But if you can have the perfect temperament, that means that when things are going great, you remember that this too can come to an end. When things are going bad, you remember and remind yourself, this too can come to an end.
Year after year after year, you say you're going to be different. Year after year after year, you say, this is going to be my year. And year after year after year, you get to December, still the exact same version of yourself that you were a few years ago. How many more years do you want to keep doing this? Because eventually you're going to run out of years. You're only here for a certain amount of time. Obviously, whatever you've been doing to become the best version of yourself is not working out. So let me offer you a different approach. How about instead of saying, this year is going to be my year, say today is going to be my day. I'm going to get done what I need to do today. I'm going to do what the best version of myself would do today. And then when tomorrow arrives, I'm going to wake up and say, I'm going to focus on today. Stop thinking about the mountain that you're setting out to climb in the upcoming year. Think about the step that you have to take today that's going to get you closer to the top.
You have to want to be better. And it starts off with, you have to have pride in yourself. You have to have pride in yourself. You have to have, there's something about you, whether it's your last name, whether it's just the smallest thing. You have to be proud of yourself. And if you have no pride in yourself, I can't give it to you.
Someone has to be the one to break the cycle in your family. Why not you? And why not you be the example and the role model to everyone else in your family and your extended family?
There is one constant that will still be here, whether I feel fearful or whether I feel courageous, and the constant is you. You got to believe that whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you're facing, must face you in all of your degrees, in all of your moments. And if you are fearful, that's all right. Because if you step out in faith, if you can operate in it, your fear will find out that faith can defeat it, but only when you are up against a challenge. Don't play it so safe that you never challenge yourself to be great.
I think the easiest thing in life is to give up on whatever you're focused on or whatever you're hopeful for. The hardest thing is to continue to keep going, but we have to. We have to continue to hold on.
Whatever you want to do, believe it, believe it, believe it, even if you don't believe. Play the game of belief. Act as if you believe. That is power. That is sheer power. And it will happen, believe you me. So never give up. Believe, believe, believe.
Life is about losing. As we get older, we lose our hair, we lose our teeth, we lose our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, and but it's the ones who overcome, they're lost in life, shun away adversity, and always willing to fight it. Every particular moment in life are the ones that are able to transcend and be able to spread the word to other people who's in that same particular genre as they are.
Death is the wisest advisor that a warrior has. Because when he thinks that all has lost, he can ask death, "Is that so?" And death will reply, "No, I haven't touched you yet."
Greatness is the thing that comes out because you've been tested. Greatness comes out because you've been under trial. Greatness is the thing that is a result of people watching you face odds that you should not have beaten. If you are always going to face challenges when you're the favorite, then you're a bully. And life doesn't have room or space for bullies, because bullies will be confronted. But the hero of the story is the one who will face its own backstory, overcoming the sad moments, overcoming the broken moments. When people see you and they see that you've been through something, they respect it because of what you become because of that something. Never give up. Never quit trying. Never throw in the towel.
Once you experience the freedom and sense of power that comes from letting go of the past and facing life with a confident, life-affirming attitude, there will be no turning back. You will stop listening to people who try to arbitrarily set limits on what you can achieve. And you will have that touch of madness and insanity that all great inventors and builders have. Just enough madness to try something that no one else has tried before, and just enough insanity to pull it off.
The most important question to ask is, what pain do you want in your life? What are you willing to struggle for? Anything worthwhile is going to require some degree of pain and struggle. So, if you're oriented toward the pain and the struggle, you're probably going to be more aligned with what you're capable of accomplishing rather than if you just orient toward the pleasures.
Every day, sunrise, sun goes down. So that means there is a up, there is a down. Since we are born, we have inhaled 50% of our times, we have exhaled 50% of our times. Meaning always 50-50. Always the exchange between left and right, up and down, bright and dark, in and out, success and failure.
Our greatest challenge is that we don't know how great we really are, because we still battle with the conversations that other people have had about you. You have to begin to have a short-term memory when it comes to all the negative. Remember that your life is not defined by what others said about you, but it's about what you say about yourself. You got to begin to have a conversation that it starts internally and then works its way out to the rest of the world.
I want you to realize this truth. Perspective is everything in life. And the beautiful thing about perspective is in your control. Nobody else can control your perspective. But when your perspective is your power, you know that things that happen to you, what happens for you? You know the things that are supposed to break you, actually things are gonna build you. You know the failures that happen in your life, actually the failure is just feedback to grow something better in your life.
You think that everything the mind tells you, I need to follow. That means freedom. No, for us it's the other way around. To learn and not follow what the mind tells you. This is the first step towards freedom.
Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. You got to tell your brain where you want to go and how you want to go and how you want to get there. You got to control it. If not, it's over.
You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. That's the challenge.
Maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming all the things that's not us so we can become the people that we're really destined to become.
There's no way you lose when you go after a dream. You don't. It always leads to something better. Always. The responsible thing to do is to listen to your heart. It wasn't hard to work at the shitty job because I was always thinking about the exciting job I was going to do afterwards. And every night that I just went up on stage, and if it just went moderately okay, I couldn't believe it. Have you ever had that level of excitement doing any other job? That's what it's like when you go after a dream job. So nothing is worse than not going after it.
And so many of us, we're afraid of the silence. We're afraid to be alone. We're afraid because we know the voice in our head when we're alone is one that doesn't lift us up but brings us down. And it might seem dark, and it will be cold, and you'll be lonely. But I promise, as you work through that cold and dark place, you will find who you are. You will find your voice. You'll understand who you are when there's no support around you, because I hate to break it to you, that's going to happen on this path to growth and this path to success.
The thing that wakes you up and tells you, I've got greatness in me, I've got the ability to overcome, I've got a champion inside of me, I've got something that is unique about me that the world has never seen before. But you got to begin that conversation internally. Because until you believe it, no one else will. But the moment you make it your will, to overcome every obstacle, overcome every negative, to overcome everyone that has ever told you you would fail, you have to have those haters. You need them so you can prove them wrong by being strong. But the strength that you begin to display is not just on the outside, it begins internally.
Time is the currency we're playing with in every moment of our lives. It's the center point of our influence. I talk about the roulette table of my life. It's the frame I think through where we wake up in the morning with these 24 chips. If you spend 8 hours sleeping, you wake up with 16 chips left. And how you place those chips on this roulette table that sits in front of us, just before the wheel spins every day, determines all of our outcomes in our lives.
There are many things in this world that we all wish weren't true. There are many things that we want to be that just aren't. The game that you're playing is human psychology. There is no greater control. There is no greater control than control over oneself. Every day that you're working to build something, whether it's a business, whether you're trying to be the greatest parent of all time, it doesn't matter. If you fail to understand that the name of the game is changing yourself, acquiring skills, identifying the gap between who you are today and the person you want to become, and accepting that you can do anything you set your mind to without limitation. So now how you spend that time, what skills you begin to acquire in order to execute against that future vision you have of yourself, that is everything. But you're going to have to be willing to suffer along the way.
That means people will become a magnet to what energy you put out. But you've got to begin to let that flow from your life, from your belief that I am more than a conqueror. I am more than a victim. I am more than whatever I've gone through. Hell, I am more than anyone ever imagined, including myself, because I didn't imagine I'd be this, but I began to paint a picture and frame it with my work day in and day out. Work is step by step. It's how you conquer a mile. You don't get there overnight. It's not all through a sprint. Sometimes it's a marathon. But even marathons might take a year, might take 2 years, but you're on your way as long as you don't quit.
Right? Believe in what you're doing. Sometimes all you got to do is stay the course and outlast whatever the opposition and the adversity may be. Right? When it comes to whatever you consider to be success, whatever success means to you, properly define it, but always look at it in terms of, do I love what I do? Do I know what I'm doing? If opposition and adversity happens, will I still believe in what I'm doing? Love what you're doing. Know what you're doing. But above all, believe in what you're doing, man.
Turn your feelings off when it comes down to you wanting to be better. What that means is when that alarm clock goes off, your feelings gotta go away. It's raining outside, it's cold outside, when you don't want to put those long hours in at work, that's what I'm talking about. Your feelings must go away. When everybody leaves to go home and there's only one light on in a building, a 15-story building, and only one office, that's the motherfucker right there you gotta be. That is true. But you gotta learn to shut your feelings off if you want to achieve greatness.
People that are hungry believe, always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. People that are hungry know if you want to be successful, you must be willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have.
The difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do today. Everything tomorrow, I'll get to it tomorrow, or I'll get to the next day. Who told you you had to tomorrow? Who told you that? Like, come on, like now, no opportunity wasted, no opportunity wasted, no opportunity wasted. How arrogant are you to think that if you don't do it right now, do it when you have the opportunity, that you're gonna have the same opportunity a week from now? How arrogant. How arrogant of you to think that if you don't get it done today, that same opportunity is going to present itself 6 weeks later. How arrogant of you.
The number one thing that's going to change your life, the only thing that will change your life, change your business, change your money, change your relationship, is you must raise your standard. The only thing that changes our life long term is when we raise our standards. It means that all of us in life have things we want. We don't get what we want, we get what we have to have. We all get what we tolerate in ourselves and other people. But when you're no longer willing to tolerate something, that's when your life changes.
Be grateful for where you begin. Your humble beginnings of being broke, of being hungry, of feeling alone. Be thankful for it. Because this is the skeleton that you will build your life upon. Your sacrifice is necessary. It's the most important ingredient in becoming something more than what you were. You have to struggle. Otherwise, the journey will not be rewarding, and if it came quickly, you wouldn't appreciate it. Enjoy the struggle. It's because this is the basement for you. And now you have to decide, am I ready to elevate my life out of this situation? You wouldn't know it unless you were at the bottom.
I say chase your dreams, man. Do that thing, man, that keeps you up at night. That thing that bothers you, man, that makes you trip. You can't quit thinking about it. You always, that thing, man, that you wake up in the middle of the night, you got a new idea. That's what you got to chase. Because anything else, it's gonna disappoint you. You're gonna forever be sad, man. If you don't chase that dream, you're gonna forever be miserable, man. I would hate to die and never do the thing I was born to do. That's a sad thing, man.
There's times in your life when things are gonna happen that you've got to begin to put your dream on hold. And you might have to reinvent yourself. It's called life. And don't tell everybody about it. 80% don't care, 20% glad it's you. You have to suck it up and handle it. Being a risk taker, walking by faith and not by sight. Stuff happens to you.
It's something that you have to harness. Something that you want to be. You have to be that person that has developed a game changer mindset. A person that wants to be the uncommon amongst the uncommon. Game changer is a motherfucker that says, I've been training my entire life to take the big shot. I'm talking about a person that knows their value and knows that when they come to the table, it's the best in the fucking world. A game changer has built that belief through hard work. They know who they are. And they bring the difference to the table.
If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy.
Because the warpath is also a war against weakness, and so it leads to strength. It is a war against ignorance, and so it leads to knowledge. It is a war against confusion, and so it delivers understanding. And the warpath leads to control and to ownership of your life. That is the warpath. The path of fire and adversity, the path of blood and sweat and suffering. The warpath is the interminable path of discipline, which is why it leads to freedom. In the end, the warpath leads to peace.
I want you to imagine that there's a power flowing into your consciousness. This power flows to and through us, and it never stops. Now, when the power flows into our consciousness, we could call it thought power if you choose. You can think anything you want. You can think anything you want. No one can cause you to think something you don't want to think. What we want to do is learn how to control the flow of this energy. We want to learn how to control the flow of thought energy and let it flow freely to and through us, improving everything with which it connects. You see, we're really in charge of our results. The results that we get in our life can be altered because on a conscious level, you have a choice. You see those two symbols, one's negative, one's positive. There is the power flowing in. You can think anything you want. You can choose to think of what you don't want, or you can choose to think of what you do want. You can look at what's wrong with life, or you can look at what's right with it. You do have a choice. That power You can build it into anything you choose.
There's going to be so many hours where you will be alone. You'll feel like there's no one there to support you. And it may not be because you've been abandoned, but because those people have to tend to their own lives. Learning to be self-reliant, learning to stand in front of the fire, to face the crowd head on by yourself is what will rally the troops. That's what brings the reinforcement. So often we say, I'll go if you go. I'll stay if you stay. Be the one that goes. Be the one that steps forward into the fire, unafraid, knowing that it's not because you're going to get burned, but it's because it's going to burn off the old you. Burn off that old you and let the new you shine. You'll find that you're fireproof. You'll find that you're unstoppable. You want to know how strong you are? Let's go test it.
You say you love life, you want to live life. I'm going to show you life. Life is beautiful, but you have to accept the good and the bad as being beautiful. You can't accept the good, oh, this is beautiful. Then we lose someone, oh, life sucks. Life is beautiful because life gives us the ability to just know them on our journey in life. We met them. We loved them. We cared about them. They cared about us. That's the purpose of life, just to enjoy what we had while we journeyed through it.
Apparently, the stress and the worries and the fear, it arises somewhere. And that somewhere is individually always inside oneself. But nevertheless, we try to fix this issue. We try to look for the solution. Yeah, not inside of you. You try to find it out there.
Sometimes people are too close to you to see your greatness. You're too familiar. So what a lot of us do, we go to our spouse, we go to our friends, we go to all these people that are close to us, and we try to show our gifts and our talents, and they normalize your greatness. I believe this is true. I believe God will place strangers in your life to take you to higher places. So don't be surprised if your support system doesn't come from familiar faces. Don't be surprised if your support system doesn't come from blood, doesn't come from family, doesn't come from the friends you have history with. But they're too close to you, they're too familiar with you. Anything we get familiar with, we get desensitized to. So the mistake that a lot of us make is we go to what's closest to us in proximity when you need to just give it to the world. You need to just give it to the world and let the world validate your vision.
I need you to begin to believe in yourself in such a way that nothing can shake it. So what if you take a loss? So what if you've lost something for a moment? That loss is temporary. That L that you took is a lesson. But once you get that lesson, God help those that tried to teach it to you. Because once you become you, fully engaged, fully believing, nothing will stop you.
If you could have what you needed and wanted, what would that be? And that's a meditative question. You don't want to force an answer out of yourself. You want to ask yourself that like you would ask someone else. If I could have what I wanted, what would that look like? If I could have the relationship that I needed and wanted, if I could have the friendships, if I could have the job or career, if I could have the educational pathway, if I took care of myself properly, if I regulated my susceptibility to temptations, what would that look like if it was optimized? And then that sets you up a goal that has some motivational force. This is worth doing. The next goal is to take your goal and to fragment it into micro goals until you find a micro goal that's small enough that it still presents some challenge that you will do.
Most people overestimate what they're going to do in a year, and they underestimate they'll do in a decade. And I know a decade sounds like a long time, but how many can remember where you were a decade ago and realize the time has gone like this? And our whole world's accelerating. So a decade will go down before you even know it. The question is, what are you going to do with it? And you want to make sure when you arrive at the end of that decade, you're a different universe than when you started. So in the short term, it may go up and down, but the long term, it's explosive.
So as you begin to look toward making this your decade, as you begin to look toward making your life different, as you begin to look at yourself, you've got to redefine yourself. Who are you right now? And who must you become in order to create what you want? What has to change about you? As you begin to look toward the future and take inventory of yourself, what is it about you right now that you've got to leave this behind because this no longer fits? Looking at where you want to go and the kind of person that you must become, the kind of standards that you have for you. What is it that you must do differently?
No matter what's going on in your life, is not permanent. Everything is going to change. So there's two things you can do with change. You can react to it or you can participate in it.
I want to tell you something else, and I want to make this clear. Don't just listen. Don't just listen. Do. I'm not just talking. So you know, I'm not just talking. I'm doing. And I don't want you to just listen. Put this information to work. Make today count. Every day. Go forward. Get aggressive and attack, whether it's on the battlefield or on the beat or in the factory or on the farm or on the construction site or on the website, in the garage or in the firehouse. Don't hesitate.
We all get what we tolerate in ourselves and other people. But when you're no longer willing to tolerate something, that's when your life changes. The difference in people is their standards, period.
Commit means to make it happen no matter what. See, when you make a commitment, I'm going to become wealthy, when you make it important, when you decide I'm going to do it no matter what, life changes for you. See, most people don't keep their commitments to their commitments. That's why they lead lives of poverty, lives of misery, lives of unhappiness.
No matter what you face, no matter how bad it is going to be, when there is a challenge, anything that you're facing, the only way to overcome the challenges that you face is to start walking.
I am one decision away from a totally different marriage, a totally different life, a totally different job, a totally different income. Your life comes down to your decisions, and if you change your decisions, you will change everything.
Oh, you ask yourself a question. If I could have what I needed and wanted, what would that look like? You'll get a dream, you'll get a vision, and it comes to you. That's the most accurate way of describing it. It makes itself manifest in the theater of your imagination. It's a rather frightening question to find out, to allow yourself to ask yourself what it is that you really need and want.
This is not about abstaining from life. Ooh, it's the opposite. It's about going all in and really engaging and really living and really experiencing and tasting and smelling and eating and loving and we're here for that. We're here for all of that. So you create the experience, and then when it gets predictable or it gets boring, let's change it up. Let's create another one. And then how far can you go with that? It just goes on.
A lot of folk won't let you forget what you used to do or what you have done, what mistakes you've made. All of us have made some mistakes in life. All of us have done some things that if we had them to do over again, we wouldn't do it again. There are a lot of things that if I had it to do over again, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done it differently. Well, it didn't happen that way. Oh, you don't want me to live that down? How you want to keep on putting that in my face about what I did? Guess what? I'm not interested. That's what I did then. Won't do it today.
Who am I? What have I learned? What have I created? What forward progress have I made? Who have I helped? What am I doing to improve myself today to get better, faster, stronger, healthier, smarter? Is this what I want to be? This? Is this all I've got? Is this everything I can give? Is this going to be my life?
Everything that's happening to you is God is processing. Every difficult moment you're having, He just processing. That's all He's doing. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. And if you need to be tough when you get to where you're going, then He gonna toughen you. If you gotta be more caring along the way, He gonna let you have some trials come your way that's gonna have to produce that in you.
How do I deal with setbacks, failures, delays, defeats, or other disasters? I actually have a fairly simple way of dealing with these situations, summed up in one word: good. That when things are going bad, there's going to be some good that will come from it. Didn't get the job you wanted? Good. Go out, gain more experience, build a better resume. Got injured? Good. Needed a break from training. Got beat? Good. We learned. Unexpected problems? Good. We have an opportunity to figure out a solution.
Most people in life quit before the candy comes out. They quit before the candy comes out of their business, their body, their relationships, not knowing they're much closer to the dream than they think they are, but the progress is invisible. You gotta keep hitting that pinata in your life. Keep taking swings, one more swing, one more swing, one more swing, knowing you're making invisible progress. Remember when I said you're neglecting your kids? When you're not chasing your dreams and your potential? You're actually neglecting you. You're neglecting your spirit. You're neglecting your soul. You're neglecting the very reason you were born. Nothing makes me more proud than to see someone chasing their potential, chasing that happiness, chasing that bliss. I don't care if the candies come out yet. I care that you swing.
When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out, don't get startled, don't get frustrated. No. Just look at the issue and say, good.
When you raise your hand and say, this is my income, this is my dream, this is my goal. When you raise your hand and say, this is it, don't you understand that you need to operate at least 110 to make that become a reality? You can't get to that dream on 70. You can't get to that dream on 60. You can't get to that dream waking up at 6 or 7 o'clock.
Because the truth is, y'all, like, I don't care how great life is for you. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how popular you are. I don't care what kind of job you have. You know, I don't care what race you are. The thing that brings us all together is not always success, right? It's not success, it's struggle. Like, I don't care who you are. If you're going through this human experience, you're gonna experience struggle. You're gonna experience hard times. You're gonna experience setback. You're gonna experience loss. You're gonna experience depression. Just as well as we have our ups, we're gonna have our downs. And so when I'm going through these moments, I love to disconnect. And I disconnect from the world. Because some of us, we're so connected to everything that we haven't connected to our soul. We haven't connected to our peace because we're so connected to requests. We're so connected to comparing our life. We're so connected to all these outside things that we ignore our internal soul.
If you constantly remind yourself, after every defeat, after every setback, every time you get knocked down, I've got a saying, if life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. See, a lot of people, because of failure, they stop believing. Let me share something with you. You will fail your way to success. Yes. You will fail your way to success. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. It doesn't matter how many times people tell you that you can't do it. It doesn't matter if you don't have a dime in the bank. You will fail your way to success.
It's so often the easy path. The easy path that calls to us to be weak for that moment, to break down for that moment. Accept reality, but focus on the solution. Take that issue, take that setback, take that problem and turn it into something good. Go forward. Finally, if you can say the word good, then guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, that means you've still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
And there are going to be plenty of times in your life when you're not happy. There might be years. And so it's a shallow boat in a very rough ocean. And it's based upon a misconceptualization. Happiness is something that descends upon you. Everyone knows that. You know, it comes upon you suddenly. And then you should be grateful for it, because there's plenty of suffering, and if you happen to be happy, well, wonderful. Enjoy it. Be grateful for it.
That you will fail your way to greatness. That most people allow their fear of failure, 80%, allow their fear of failure to outweigh their desire to succeed. When you're willing to fail again and again and again, when you make up your mind to become unstoppable, when you make up your mind to become a no matter what person, then that will then give birth to a part of yourself that you don't know right now.
You see, there's more to it than just having ambition. It's picking something you love, because it's a part of who you are. What do you love? What do you find yourself unable to get out of your head? What do you think about more than anything? What ignites your soul? What makes you lay in bed at night and look at the ceiling and dream about what was, what will be, and what can be? That thing we have to have a plan for. You want to be there? You want to get to the finish line? You better start your steps now. You got to start igniting. It means that you go harder. You pace yourself with a sense of purpose and a sense of exploration. We don't have tomorrow promise, but God gave us now. And now is what I'm here for. Now is what I was born to capitalize this moment and make it matter.
Why does the quote say, you don't judge the true character and caliber of a man by where he stands in times of comfort and convenience? There's no test. How can you judge character in comfort and convenience? But you judge the true character and caliber of a man by where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. Why does it say that? Because that's when the real you shows up.
When you said, I'm all in, were you really all in? Let me tell you what the cost of being all in is. Early mornings, late nights, being misunderstood, having very few friends, being your own cheerleader. Are you those things? People always talk about, man, I'm a hard worker. Everybody in this room is a hard worker. That's not going to separate you from anybody else. What are you working hard on? People always look for one thing for the other. Oh, you got to work, you got to work smarter and not harder. No, you got to work smarter and you got to work harder.
The seasons are going to come however they're going to come. You cannot change that. So you cannot change the seasons. But make this note, you can change yourself. Human beings can live one way for 5 years and then tear up that script and live a totally different way the next 5 years. Humans can do that. I'm asking you to utilize your power as a human being and change your life to whatever degree you want it changed.
Always be willing to be stronger than your strongest excuse, and always be willing to extend a level of grace to both yourself and the others, because if you haven't needed it yet, I guarantee you it's going to come a point in time to where you're going to need another individual to extend a level of grace to you.
You gotta believe, man. Your hand will be lifted up in victory. You gotta see it before it ever comes into pass. You've gotta speak it into existence. You gotta write down a vision and then hold yourself accountable to it. Give yourself timelines and then exceed it. Go back and look at it. Mail yourself a letter so if you have to. And then get it in 6 months and look at it and open it up and look at the goals you set. And did you achieve them? Or did you pass them? Then make them bigger. And give yourself even less time to go after it. You will be amazed at what's possible when you make up your mind. When you make a decision, I'm going to grow from here. I'm not going to give up here. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to find out what I'm made of, and I'm going to go from good to great. And with my greatness, I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to pour it into everything that I've got, and I'm going to discover what's possible for me.
Nothing great is going to come without you having to deal with what I call adversity and pain tolerance. You must be able to deal with that. And the more understanding you have of what's causing you the pain and how you've dealt with it is going to determine how successful you will be in whatever you choose in life.
You're not a tree, you don't have to stay. You're not a goose, you don't have to fly south. I'm telling you, anytime you want to, you can say, I'm going to change my attitude, I'm going to change my income, I'm going to change my abilities, I'm going to do more than I've ever done before. Take on that as your God-given right as a human being to change your life to whatever degree you want it to change. Winter comes after fall. Night comes after day. Difficulty follows opportunity. Recession always comes after expansion. It's been the rhythm of life for the last 6,000 years of recorded history.
You're overthinking, you're overanalyzing. You know what to do, you won't do it. Not because you have fear, because you have doubt. We all have fear. Every individual in this room has fear. Everyone talks about conquering your fears. You don't conquer your fears. Fear is an instinct. You control your fears.
And listen to the truth. And live the truth. and go out and get it done.
You've absolutely come to the right place so that you can become more than a cynic. You're much more. You will become more. Yeah, I know you face all kinds of challenges with your health and no one even nights. You will have pain. But the pain's going to be there whether you work or not. Why not go ahead and make that work for you? You need to go ahead and think about it. I can lay here and allow that fact to be true. I've got discomfort, I've got problems, but I also got greatness in me. I would rather go after my goals and become great, dealing with the pain. Because freedom of the mind, rather than regret of the soul, is a great possession. It's time. It's time to get up, it's time to go after your goals. It's time for you to look around and see everything that you have and get dissatisfied. This is not it for me. I can't be settled for being good. I've got to be more. I've got to become more. And the only way you become more is that you get dissatisfied with what you have. The reason why you got another breath is so that you can go after something bigger than what you were. You're not here to waste time. Time is precious. Time doesn't get repeated. Man, you have to take advantage of it. You gotta realize there's a difference though between time and terms. You see, time is funny because time, if you sit there and you wait on the long game and say, one day it's just gonna be my turn. Your time, your talents, your abilities, your skills will have rotted. They will have sat there and wondered why you didn't sharpen those things. But if you go ahead and you play the short game and say, I'm not going to sit and simply wait. I'm not going to play by somebody else's playbook. I'm going to look at eternally and look at myself and say, good is not enough. I need to be great.
What are you saving for? What are you working toward? What kind of physical condition do you want to be in? What kind of relationships do you want to have? What skills are you trying to develop? And just like any leader, you have to explain to yourself the why.
Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. You just gotta quit tripping while you're in the process, because the process is necessary. You may not see it now, but when he gets you on the other side of it, you're gonna see exactly why it went that way, and you're gonna be okay with it. But quit tripping during the process.
We all fall down in life, guys. The question is, who gets back up? Again, it's not the potential of the individual, it's not the genetics, it's the perseverance, the never say die attitude. If you constantly keep throwing shit against the wall, eventually something will stick, guys.
I was born to be great. I desire to be great. I want to be great. I am more than anything anybody's ever told me, and this is not being narcissistic. It's not looking at myself as some exaggerated version of a perfect player I created on a game. Life is not my game. Me versus me, I gotta believe in me when no one else does.
Possibility that's within you that can well up, the courage and the truth and the ability and the skill and the willingness to set things right, if you are willing to set them right, is more powerful than all of that. And so it's so interesting. It was proof for me of an old saying, what you most want to be found will be found where you least want to look, essentially. And it's so interesting because it means that if you're willing to turn around and to stand up, say, and stand up straight and face the darkness like fully, what you discover at the darkest part is the brightest light. And that's something that's so much worth discovering, because there's going to be terrible darkness in your life, and it's going to make you cynical and bitter, and it could easily be that you're just not looking at it enough, because if you looked at it enough and you didn't shy away and you brought everything you had to bear on it, you'd find that there was more to you than there was to the horror.
You get one shot at this gig right here. Life. One life. That's all you've got. And regret, in and of itself, it's worthless. It does nothing for you. In fact, the only valuable thing in regret is the lesson you learned. The knowledge that you gained.
I've got to go after my goals, I've got to dream, I've got to believe, and then I've got to overcome those voices that get in your head from people that didn't mean you well. The people that told you you'll never be, use that as motivation, use that as fire. When you stand in the shower and water is washing over your head and back, wash away every negative thought, every negative comment they've ever said about you. When you're sitting there and you think about the lost moments in life, honor them by getting up and taking your turn. It's your time. They lived their life so that you might have opportunities. There were sacrifices made to make you. Now honor that, becoming a better you.
Pull yourself together and quit tripping because you in the process. God is processing you. He ain't through with you. If he was through with you, you would not wake up in the morning.
You may have lost and failed in one moment, but I promise you, what you learned in that defeat is like having that master's degree in life. I learned what not to do. Now I'm not going to regret the fact that I lost, because I learned. And the most dangerous thing that you could have ever allowed to happen, that your enemy would ever never saw coming, was the fact that you learned the value of you. Yeah. Now I know what I'm capable of. Now I know how close I was.
Life is an echo. What you send out comes back. What you sow, you reap. What you give, you get. What you see in others exists in you. Do not judge so you will not be judged. Radiate and give love, and love comes back to you.
I will try 100 times to get up, and if I fail 100 times, if I fail and I give up, do you think that I'm ever gonna get up? No. But if I fail, I try again, and again, and again. For as long as I try, there's always that chance of getting up. And it's not the end until you've given up.
You have to start living your life in expectation. You have got to start expecting great things to happen for you in order for it to happen. If you live your life in expectations, that's what happens to you. If you live your life in despair, that's what happens to you.
disengage your sense of self, your sense of self-worth from achievement. Once you are wholly focused on sincere pursuit, everything changes.
I'll never be rich. You won't. You won't. The moment you change the frequency that your tower emits, different things come back to you. If you change your attitude, you change your altitude.
Most of us go through life pretending that we're satisfied where we are, pretending that everything is okay, pretending that we don't have any special goals or ambitions or desires, when really deep down inside we do really want more. Because you have to judge a tree by the fruit it bears, not the fruit that it talks about. See, a lot of people pretend that they want more out of life, but all you have to do is watch their actions.
So you really have to work hard for a set of skills that matter to you. A fool never learns. A smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So you've got to completely divorce yourself from this notion of outcome and become completely obsessed with the idea of sincere pursuit.
And so when you look at the night sky and that sense of awe grips you and calls something out of you, right? To respond to your encounter with the infinite, even your encounter with mortality, your encounter with finitude and limitation, all of that in relationship to the infinite. That sense of awe is also the calling forth of something out of you that can respond to the challenge of that infinite. Well, that's the microcosm within, you know? It's a reflection of the structure of the cosmos itself. That's the divine ideal.
Only thing that's going to make you happy, my friend, in this year or any other, is to step up. It's to raise the standard. It's to discover what you're capable of and feel that incredible power pushing through whatever's holding you back and get to the other side of more of your true self. That's what this game's all about.
So life is real short. So you add up all your traveling, add up all your sleeping, add up all your school, add up all your entertainment, you've probably been half your life doing nothing. So out of 30 years, I might have about 16 years to be productive. So it's how we can all break individual lives down.
You've got to completely divorce yourself from this notion of outcome and become completely obsessed with the idea of sincere pursuit. Now, why sincere pursuit? The reason to tie your sense of self, your self-esteem, your pride, your ego, your identity, all of that, the reason to tie that to sincere pursuit is it's the only part you can control. I cannot promise you that you'll ever be successful. You cannot promise you that you will be successful. But you can promise and know, if you actually did it, to show up every day and really pursue it.
But what do we say? But there'll always be tomorrow. Oh no. There's no guarantees you're going to show up tomorrow. There are a lot of people who were here yesterday that they're not here today. There are a lot of opportunities that were around yesterday. They're not here today.
I'm talking about real commitment. Not that cheap stuff, right? Not that counterfeit stuff. Not that if I get what I want stuff. Not that little boy stuff. I'm talking concrete commitment. The commitment that says, can I stay true to what I said I would do long after the mood that I've set it in has left? It's easy to say what you're gonna do when you're sitting in these plush seats and there's AC and you got the words on the wall.
There's people out there that don't want to see you do good. As you know, there's people out there that don't want to see you happy, don't want to see you accomplish anything, don't want to see you grow.
So you gotta go start your journey. And the journey starts with you finding
why the hell am I here on this planet Earth? Why am I here? If you don't know that, you will live the rest of your life searching, always asking the question, why?
I'm saying answer your call. The universe is calling you. Here's something about life. You can't get out of it alive. Hello? You can't get out of life alive. Live now, like Maria said. Live your dream now.
There's people out there that are threatened by your greatness. They can't handle you. They know they can't compete with you. They know they can't beat you. So their goal, their plan, is to make you beat you. All the great ones in life, one thing they had was composure. No matter what people do at them, hate, negativity, gossip, drama, rumors, no matter what they do at them, they stay focused on where they were trying to go.